Two. Hey, everybody. Paul Fontaine, Jeff Hawkins, Dirty Dan, the Music Man, and Seb. Here we all are on YouTube on a Sunday afternoon / evening, depending on where you're all watching or listening to us. And everybody listening on audio, I want to thank you all as well. I've had a good first month, and we're into our 5th episode here. So I think it might be like last week where we take up most of the show talking about our homework because everybody kind of went overboard on this one.
Above and beyond. Above and beyond is what I say. Everyone, A plus.
So before we get into that,
well, you have to think, hey, it's a bunch of middle-aged men talking old music for the most part. Talk about something current, Grandpa. It's like, yeah. Okay,
there you go. Hey, and that was Dan's idea. So
we're going to overcompensate this.
Yeah. We're gonna mostly talk about old people doing new music. But no, that's not really true either.
That's not true.
But before we get started, I had a request, and I was gonna do this anyways. But somebody had asked because they heard that story from last week about Meatloaf that I had told, and the autograph. Now, have you guys ever been in a situation where you've told a story so many times that sometimes the details may have changed from what you remember, and you just assume it was correct?
Only the best stories.
Yeah.
Paul, I've told you a story that you told me back, and I said I'm the one who told you that story.
So okay, yes. but has it happened to you personally, where like a story you remembered happening a certain way didn't actually happen the way you remembered it? Okay.
I think so.
So, anyways, I've got the pic. Okay, right here. Here's the pic. If you're watching on YouTube, okay, it's I've kept it all these years. Now, the autograph. I have the autograph. It says to Paul. It looks like it probably is signed by Meatloaf, although I couldn't really verify that. But it does not say the jacket's yours or the pic is yours, the jacket's mine. It's pretty much just autograph and like to Paul. So here it is. There's no sentence there. But I seem like it was a good story when I told it. And I think
what's that they say? The man who shot Liberty Valance with the story is better than the truth. Tell the story.
Yeah. But I mean everything about that is true. Now the fact, in my defense, a lot of alcohol had been consumed, and there's been a lot of years that have passed since then. Remember, this was 1990. That's 36 years ago. I was a 19-year-old kid, and I'm a 55-year-old grandfather now. So, the years have passed, but and Meatloaf is no longer with us. And one thing I didn't mention in that story too was, like, I mentioned how he came into the room, and from what I understand, he was sober at the time. And that's why, like, he was kind of telling his bandmates to, take it easy. We got a long day tomorrow, but whatever. But he was like, he was not partaking in any of this partying. And it reminded me of another similar story where I was at a party with a bunch of guys in wrestling, and Christopher Daniels walked into the room and dropped off a 6-pack of this like high-end beer, in a 6-pack, mind you, in a room of about 20 guys. And said, "Here you go, gentlemen. Partake. I won't be joining you. Have a good evening." And he left. And it was interesting. I'll just say the least. The one and only time.
At least he brought beer. I mean,
he brought beer, and it was high-end beer. It was 6 of them for 20 guys, but whatever. But anyways, enough about that. So we had our homework that Dan had given us, and that was to listen to some music from the 2020s, because it's all been old music so far. Dan, I think you probably listened to the most, so maybe we'll save you for last.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Jeff listened to a lot too this week. I mean, he every single day you had something too, Jeff. And I think you and I are pretty much. I added one. I was going to do one a day, but Paul, when you told me one that somebody had requested to you, I actually added one, so I had 8.
Okay, so we'll start with Jeff then, and we'll finish with Dan because I think there's probably some repeats too. And so Jeff, why don't we get started with you, and you can tell us what you listen to.
What I listened to on my summer vacation by Jeff Hawkins.
Yeah.
Well, I started out with a band I saw in concert about, I mean, this is your old guys doing new music one, about 15 years ago, I would say, opening for a band called Black Joe Lewis and the Honey Bears called the Sheepdogs from north of the border up there in Canada. I am amazed, Paul and Seb, at how Canadians can seem to capture the spirit of Southern rock better than a lot of actual Americans. Because between the Sheepdogs and Robbie Robertson's writing for the band, they do Southern Gothic rock better than a lot of groups down here. But yeah, this isn't as good as Learn and Burn, which I think is their best album, but this is solid stuff. Out All Night, as I told Dan, it sounds like 38 Special to me. Yeah. But you know, a lot of Allman Brothers sound in there. Tom Petty.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you actually made me buy the album. Like, well, you didn't make me buy, but I wanted to buy the album. Once you said Southern Rock, Jeff, I was like, holy cow! I'm like, I listened to a couple of songs. Like, let me get this album. It was great. I loved it. Yeah, it was a great album.
And they have that weird thing where it sounds like they have 2 lead singers at the same time all the time, and that's always kind of cool too. I mean, they have a good handle of like the 3.5-minute Southern rock song that's kind of also soft in the Marshall Tucker kind of way, if I wanted to go there.
Yeah.
No flute, but no, I just enjoyed the hell out of this album more than I thought I would, because I'm so behind on listening to new rock. But that was, I mean, for me personally, top of the class. Then I went to Bruno Mars's latest, and there was an album in like 2008, 2009 by Raphael Sadiq of Tony called The Way I See It, where the story is he comes into the record company, and they just look at him after this and go, how are we supposed to market this? Because what he had made was a Motown album using the way that Motown had recorded and with Motown musicians. And like, he's like suggesting, hey, we could print vinyl. And this is before like the vinyl revolution that's currently going on and stuff. He's like, and they're like, no, we'd lose a ton of money. I assume Bruno Mars came in, played this album, and they're smiling and they go, could you excuse us for a moment? And they all look at each other and go, this is a 70s AM Gold disco album.
I've always thought Bruno reminds me of late 70s Michael Jackson. Like, a lot. And the new album, like, I've heard it. I didn't listen to it this week, but that's kind of what it reminded me of.
Well, the thing is, there's nothing to me that really jumps off of this album either. Like Bruno Mars's sweet spot to me is kind of that hard funk type of thing. When like Uptown Funk, you have the loud brassy horns, you know, upbeat dance music. This is a lot of love songs for the most part, like, but you can also just hear the late 70s in it. Like, God Was Showing Off sounds a lot like the Spinners. On My Soul sounds a lot like Tavares, if you like that. Heaven Must Have Lost.
And then was this the Romantic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I Just Might sounds a lot like Leo Sayer. You make me feel like dancing.
Risk It All is pretty much
Risk
just
It All
a
is
Bruno
a strong
Mars album. Yeah, like that's or a Bruno Mars, like, you know, close your eyes and write a Bruno Mars ballad, and there you go.
Yeah, it is. It very much is in there, and a lot of the songs are like that. And Something Serious sounds like something off of a War album, which is really good. I really liked that one, but overall, you're just listening to it going, it's good, but nothing is grabbing me like Grenade or other of his hits. And you know, and it's just, it was sort of disappointing, to be honest with you. I you know, it's not that it was bad, but it was just like when you set that bar high. And I think I asked kind of this general question, like, has there ever been an album that disappointed you so much that you kind of lost faith in one of your favorite artists?
And that was this.
Well, it didn't make me lose faith in him. No, it didn't get me that close. No, my answer is always Steve Winwood Junction 7. That album's terrible. Then I went on to Cowboy Carter by Beyonce.
Oh, love that.
It was interesting. You know, it being marketed as a country album really kind of cut it off at the knees a little bit, I think. Because I think it's a solid album. And I really like Just for Fun, the duet with Willie Jones. I think that is such a beautiful song as she did on this. But it's also not a country album. It's an album that's commenting on country. That's
well, okay, yeah. I mean, she won some country awards for it.
It got marketed for Grammy nominations in the country category, and she swept them. So
I had an argument with a friend about this because we were talking about this, the success that what's Ella Langley? That's the one that's super hot right now.
That's the one.
And how she's like, female country artist hitting #1, and it's the first time in like 10 years or something. And I'm like, what about Beyonce? Oh, she's not a country artist. It's like she wrote a country album and nope. And this is from a country fan. Seb, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, see, that's the thing is like, that's what I wanted. I wanted a country album from Beyonce because steel guitar, do all that stuff. And I think it would have been great. And this isn't, I mean, like the Jolene and Blackbird and Oh Louisiana covers are great. Don't get me wrong. But it's just like, but she has a lot of grievances with the country audience and stuff. I'm like going, I'm thinking there is no audience that will embrace you harder, and doesn't like it.
Texas Hold'em is like
Texas Hold'em is great.
Yeah,
and it's the most country-like sounding song other than Just for Fun.
That's a good one.
But it's one of those things where like, number one, country does embrace black artists, and they also don't throw out their old just for the young, which I respect the hell.
No.
But they also, like, if you're going to be a country artist, they sit there with like a skeptical eye and going, are you just using us to do that? And it's like, if you fully embrace the countryness, they will lovingly put you in an embrace.
They still accept Taylor Swift, and she left country long ago.
Yeah. Like 2008, 2009, she left country. Now she's all like pop.
But this also like transitions into a strong statement I'm going to make. I thought Chaperone's The Giver was going to win Grammys for Best Country Song.
Oh my God.
I love that song so much. And I gave a listen to that, Subway, and then the album Rise and Fall of a Midwestern Princess. And I had never heard Rise and Fall of a Midwestern Princess.
I heard that song on SNL, and I normally skip the songs when I don't know it.
So
and it just grabbed me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
it is catchy, it is twangy, it is everything. I don't know what to make of Chaperone because I really loved her album. I did. I thought Pink Pony Club was great. Hot to Go is straight out of 1987. Red Wine Supernova is a really strong song. I don't know where the performance artist ends and the musician begins, but if she ever kind of stopped being an edgelord, she'd be fantastic. You know what I'm saying? There's kind of that edgelord aspect to her act where it's like you're going, I can't play this in the car with my kids, but if I had kids, but I mean, she is so. I thought she was more Lady Gaga without the musicianship, and I was so wrong. I enjoyed the hell out of. And I can't believe they pushed Subway over The Giver, which I think is a stronger song. Like, Subway's a good song, or the Subway.
That they thought that the country audience wasn't ready for Chappelle.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. But, man, that song, I just listened to it. I go, there's nothing that's going to top this in the country category.
Because when you were mentioning the people that country embraces, I'm not sure that the LGBTQ community is part of that.
Well, there was that part with, who was it? Single white female.
Okay.
The woman who sang that song.
But it's pretty rare. And I mean,
they did turn on her a bit originally too.
They're very conservative.
Yes, they are, but I mean they're also, they're not uber conservative. Like they're just like, hey, don't use it as marketing.
Like you can be gay, just don't tell us about it.
I think that's You know what? But I think that's true of all politics within there.
Yeah,
I think they just don't.
In a way,
They don't want Bono in their music for the most part, and that's why they turn on the Dixie Chicks so hard.
Yeah.
You know, but they are. I mean, like you said about Taylor Swift, they will. I mean, the Grand Ole Opry is dedicated to country legends and then country newcomers, and they will take you in if you embrace full-on country as opposed to just kind of going, oh, you're just using us to sell things because you think we're like there was that turn against Shania Twain at one point. You know, after she was, you know, after that first album, which was just balls to the wall.
Yeah, she got too successful,
and then she started doing kind of the more pop stuff, and then kind of talked about the country artists or country audience in a way that they didn't exactly like.
She did a duet with Mark McGrath, and that's like...
Well, no, it was like it's like during the Man I Feel Like a Woman phase where she just really wanted to be pop, and it was just like I don't want to be associated with those types of people anymore, and they just went, all right, the hell with you, kind of thing. But no, it was a fun listen of modern stuff.
Well, that's a good. You went above and beyond. Seb, how'd you do? You listened to a Sheepdogs album too, didn't you?
No, I didn't listen.
Oh, I thought you did. Okay.
Sheepdogs, no.
So the Canadians didn't listen to the Canadians.
No, the Americans were embracing our Canadian brethren.
Really, Jeff? We had like 2 or 3 Canadian albums each, didn't we? When I'm really just looking at our list,
I mean, if you're gonna be the 51st state, we're gonna bring you in.
All right,
that's quite all right. I did listen to 2 Commonwealth acts, though. Okay. First, though, the one that I have the least to say about is the new Lady Gaga. I just finished listening to that. I was in the car with my girlfriend Mona, who's listening right now. She is a huge fan. Apparently, she loves Italians. Lady Gaga,
much like OMC, like OMC, she loves Italian.
She's a much bigger fan than I am, though, and I didn't love it, but I'm going to have to give it another listen because I think car listening can sometimes be more distracting. So
I was disappointed. I'll just say that it's got the one really good track. And
Abracadabra.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one, but didn't love it too much. But I think it's just had a lot of classics. So that was the most recent one. I also listened to the newest Mel C, and I'm going to see her in concert. It's actually a month today, and so I thought that I would give it a listen. I haven't heard any of her solo stuff in probably a decade or so, so it's been a long time since I've listened to it. First time I did not like it. I was in a terrible mood though when I listened to it, and I knew it was far too happy of an album to listen to.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing worse than being cranky than putting on something upbeat. Going, don't want.
Have you heard Northern Star?
Yeah, that was her like 2000.
Yeah, but is it anything like that, or is it completely different?
This is very Euro trashy dance, and it's
okay.
Yeah,
so very different then.
Yeah, it's very cheesy. But
Robin?
It's a little bit like Robin, yeah.
Okay.
Or what was that band from a couple of years ago with the comedian at the front? I'm drawing a blank on it, but it was like the joke Euro dance song from 2023. So a lot of it was like that. Good callback to Robin, though. I haven't thought of her in years either. Very high energy.
Robin.
But yeah, the title track was great. It's called Sweat. Awesome dance track. The one strange thing is I love Mel C's voice. I always thought that she had a fantastic voice. She doesn't really sing on the album until maybe the last quarter. Most of it is just her doing the dance thing, a lot of auto-tune and a lot of work on it. She has a song near the end, though, Undefeated Champion, where she sings more. And so that was great. It's very much like it was a throwback to Spice Girls. And so it was awesome. So yes, I recommend highly if you are in a terrible mood to not listen to it for the first time. But
what's the title? What's the title of it?
Sweat.
That's the album title?
That's the album title. And it's also
would Sweat be a good workout song, do you think? I might recommend it to my wife.
The entire album would be a workout song. Awesome. It's very high energy, and if you've seen, I see that Mona just commented, so she can close her ears. But if you've seen her, oh my God, she's like 51, and she is ridiculously fit.
I saw a recent picture of her, and I didn't even recognize her.
No,
her
face
former
doesn't look the
Sporty
same.
Spice, correct?
Yes, Sporty Spice.
Okay,
correct.
thank
you. But she has, she was looking like she's worked out to this a lot. So it's great. Undefeated champion, though it's got a lot of Spice Girls vibes, and maybe the best track on the album. So, really good listen. The last one that I listened to was the Canadian one that I picked, which was The Beaches and No Hard Feelings, which is from 2025. I've never actually listened to an entire album of theirs. I've only heard the singles. And Jeff and Dirty Dan, I assume you guys have heard of The Beaches because they've broken out into the U.S. But if not, I'd say that
they're a female rock band, basically. Like, I don't even know what I could compare them to.
Like, they sound a little like the Killers, but like a female. Killers.
Yeah, that's a good.
And so once I listen to this album, I see very much that vibe they have. Apparently they were inspired by the Strokes as well, and I can hear a little bit of that in them as well. But the standout track on that one was Lesbian of the Year, which is fantastic title for a song. And I didn't have a clue what it was about, but apparently the guitar player, Leandra Earl, came out very recently. And it was much later in life, and then all of the fans of the band started calling her the Lesbian of the Year. So they went with it. And they played the song at the 2026 Junos. I think I sent that to you, Paul, several months ago. It was fantastic. The entire thing was pretty much upbeat, high tempo jams. Last Girls at the Party is getting a ton of radio play here, and so that's been their big single off of this. Blame My Ex was from their previous albums, and I think
that is a great song. Blame My Ex. I heard that the first time I heard it. I was like, I like repeated it because I had to listen again.
Some lyrics by Vince McMahon on that one. Don't blame me, blame Brett.
And
then
blame me, blame Brett.
But and then Jocelyn was the other great song on the album. So really enjoyed this exercise because I don't know that I would have listened to anything outside of their singles, but now I'm mildly a fan. Also, the band, and I was looking this up, they got their name from the Beaches neighborhood, which is, I grew up in Beaches, Danforth in Toronto. So
I was just assumed they were saying like the bitches, but a nice way to say the bitches, possibly, which is probably part of it.
It is, but the great thing is that there's a controversy over whether the neighborhood's called the Beach or the Beaches, and I always grew up and it was the Beaches, so I think they've solidified that now, and that's happy for me. So,
we always pop when we get the local Canadian neighborhood references. Bare Naked Ladies throw them in all the time.
Oh
love
it. Like Birchmount Stadium, home of the Robbie, and we bought an old house on the Danforth.
On the Danforth, which one is that? That's Apartment.
The Old Apartment.
The Old Apartment, that was on Friends. All right, so there you go. So you did 3, like me. I did 3, and so the 3 that I chose, 2 of them were ones that I'd already listened to before, so I kind of cheated. And then the third one was recommended by a listener who Jeff knows very well, Trish. So I'll talk about Trisha.
Do not call her Trish.
Is it? In fact, wasn't that her handle? Don't call me Trish.
It's something like that.
But she had recommended West End Girl by Lily Allen, and I had heard of Lily Allen, and I think she may have came up in on one of the shows I was listening to or something. And
she's from the UK, right? I think she's from
the
UK.
Yeah. And I looked it up, and it was like, oh, okay, I don't know any of her songs, even though I've heard the name. And so I was like, okay, well, she recommended it, I might as well give it a listen. And I'd say the first track on the album just grabbed me right away, West End Girl. I just I absolutely loved it. And then the rest of the album, and Dan mentioned this because he listened to it as well, and I kind of had the same feeling. A lot of the songs kind of sound the same after West End Girl. West End Girl is very unique, and then the rest of them it's kind of like the same song with different lyrics. as you're going through. But there's the fourth track on the album, Tennis. I'm listening to that
right?
one, and it's
Awesome.
fine. Kind of
going
and
then
back.
Right into Madeline and right into Relapse.
Because in the middle of or towards the end of Tennis, she starts saying, like, she just throws in the lyric like, "Oh, by the way, who is Madeline?" And then she keeps singing, and then, "Oh, by the way, who is Madeline?" And then the music just stops, and then she says, "Who the fuck is Madeline?" and then it just starts into Madeline. And it was like, I kind of love the way they did that. And then there's another similar thing to that with Relapse. And then Pussy Palace is another song on there, which was actually a single. And
when you recommend it to me, I look at the track and I go, Pussy Palace, 4chan Stan, non-monogam mummy. I'm like, oh god, this is gonna.
It was a top 10 hit in the UK.
It wasn't bad. Actually, I was listening to all the songs like these weren't bad. And you're right, Paul. Like they started sounding the same at the first like 2-3 songs, and then after that they started sounding better. And I was like, oh, this got better. As an album, it got better.
I think if I listened again, I would like it. Now I will say, I listened to it. My daughter seemed to like it. She was in the car with me, and then when later on in the day, my wife was downstairs and I was playing video games, and I was like, oh, maybe she'll like it. So I put it on. She was not a fan. In fact, West End Girl, which was my favorite track on the album, she's like, I can't even understand a word she's saying, and she's English. And it's like, okay.
David Harbour probably not a fan either of the album.
No. Apparently, the whole album is written as a diss to her ex, which is David Harbour. So that I listened to that one, and then I listened to Trustfall, which a couple of years ago, and I think it was 2023. I was doing a thing where I was trying to listen to like as many new albums as I possibly could, and I was getting recommendations from people on Facebook. And this is one that was recommended to me. Actually, these last two were both recommended to me at the time. And I listened to both of these and I liked them. I had them both in my top 5 of the year for 2023. And so I thought, I'll listen to these again. And so I listened to Pink's Trustfall. And I liked it a lot. I probably didn't like it as much as the first time I heard it. But there was some really good stuff on here. The Never Gonna Not Dance Again, I think, was probably the biggest hit off the album, and that's really good. Trustfall, the title track, also I really liked, and then the closing song is Just Say I'm Sorry with Chris Stapleton, which is like basically like a Temu version of the Bradley Cooper Lady Gaga song from Stars Born, but it's a good Temu version. So I kind of like that. And Pink is one of my favorite artists of this millennium. I saw her in concert, and we're going to talk, assuming we have time, about favorite concerts, and that's way up there for me, but it wasn't my top one, but one of my favorites. And then the third one I listened to was a band called the Winery Dogs, and that was recommended to me at the time by my friend Craig Proper, who, Jeff, I don't know if Dan or Seb will know him, but they recommended he recommended this album to me back then, and it's basically like it's kind of got that 90s grunge-ish rock sound, like a Soundgarden, but updated, if that makes any sense. And this wasn't commercially successful at all. It didn't even chart on Billboard, and their first 2 albums both were top 30, and this one didn't for whatever reason. But I liked the album, and it, like I said, there's nothing really stands out, just some good hard rock, little bit of the southern rock influence as well, if you could think of that mixed with grunge, like if that makes any sense at all. So I kind of liked it. The group itself was, I think, a bit of like a super group kind of thing. The band, I'm just trying to look up who was in the band. Mike Portnoy, Billy Sheehan, and Richie Kotzen. So they all have like Portnoy was in Dream Theater. Billy Sheehan was in played with Mr. Big, and I'm not sure about the other one, Richie Kotzen. That was the one name I actually. Oh, he was in Poison. Yeah. So yeah, so kind of a little bit of a super group, but so I enjoyed it, and I was glad I listened again. Both those albums stuck out to me at the time as being some of my favorites. If I would have had more time, I was going to listen to the new Lady Gaga again, but I didn't get a chance. So that was me. Dan, now you went way beyond. Now some of these we've already talked about.
Yes, so I'm going to kind of skip through them because I already said I actually started buying albums this week too, because I haven't bought albums in a while, and I started with Ariana Grande's Petals.
Oh, nice.
Fingerprints all over it now. And it wasn't horrible, but I just wasn't getting it. Like for some reason, I wasn't getting it. I'm like, why? What am I not getting about? Like she was had a big like thing going on this week, I think, with her health, and she's kind of taking a step back, and kind of just taking a little bit of a break. And I wasn't getting it, and I decided, oh man, what am I not getting about this album? Why don't I understand it? And I'll just read what they say: a darker, angrier Ariana than we're used to hearing. The album reportedly centers on frustration with fame, public scrutiny, relationships, and media narratives while maintaining her signature polished vocal style. Critics have generally praised its moodier, more experimental direction. And I was like, well, that explains why I wasn't getting it. It was just too dark Ariana for me, and I'm not used to hearing dark Ariana. I'm used to hearing happy poppy Ariana. And she had a number one hit this past couple of weeks that's called Hate That I Made You Love Me, and it was on this album. And I was like, wow, and that was the only one that I recognized on there. So I was like, all right, well, but I might just give it a listen again now that I know why. Like I just wasn't.
Well, to be fair, it was only released a couple months ago.
Yeah, it was only released a couple months ago, right? And maybe I got to give it another shot, and that's it. And the other one, which was okay for me, was Nickelback, and it was it was only one song I liked on here though, and the song it was like more like a what was it? This is called Get Rolling, and the song was called High Time, and it was like more of a country song, like Nickelback country. I was like, what? I'm not used to hearing Nickelback country song. And I'm expecting the same sound over and over from Nickelback, and I actually wasn't getting the same sound over and over again. I was actually getting like different type of music from Nickelback. So I was pleasantly surprised with the Nickelback album.
And this wasn't their latest, right? Because they actually released an album this year. This year,
right? Yeah, this would have
been Get Rolling.
2021. Let me just look what it says on here. 2022. Okay. Get Rolling. Yeah. So and then
first album since 2003 that didn't hit the Billboard Hot 200, so it wasn't a big success.
It wasn't a big success. Yeah, exactly. And then I went Red Hot Chili Peppers, and this one is called Unlimited Love, and you can see everyone's face in here now because but I'm a big fan of the Chili Peppers, but with this album I was like, nothing on here sounded like Chili Peppers on here. I was really surprised about that. I was looking for a specific sound, and they were saying that this should have reminded you of like old school Chili Peppers, but no, everything just seemed fairly new to me on this. And I was
Seb, you're a big fan of theirs, right?
Yeah. What do you think?
Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
No, because I've given up on the new music a little bit. But I did see them in concert last year or the year before, and they were still good, but I was disappointed because they only had a 90-minute set, and they did the new thing where the band plays a different set 2 different nights. So they ended up not playing a bunch of the songs that I went and I paid. Well, actually,
and do they do the thing where it's like, oh, let's hear some of our new songs now?
They did, and so I feel that they've lost their magic. I
think all bands should be banned from doing that, especially on greatest hits collections.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh, we could put another classic song on here, but let's put this new one that sucks on there.
Oh, when I saw John Mellencamp in, I used to have the poster on the back. I think it fell, but he did like over half his like sets were new music, and like he didn't play like half of his big hits. Like, I didn't think he played Hurt So Good. Like, it's like, come on, that why we paid. Like, play us the hits, monkey. Okay. Sorry, stepped on you, Dan.
but I went ahead
That's
with
a
Lily
Hawkins line
Allen.
that you pulled out there.
Yeah.
I went ahead with Lily Allen. I also had Sheepdogs on
Okay.
there, so we've covered those already. This next one I loved. I love this.
What did you think? What did you think of? Oh, I guess I kind of took your thoughts on.
Yeah,
the
okay,
Western Girl, right?
I mean, I love the Sheepdogs. I love Lily Allen. I like them both. They were great.
Do you know a lot of Lily Allen before you listen to that?
I've heard of some of Lily Allen before that. I've heard some of her songs in the past. I don't remember which ones exactly.
The one thing I would say for people that aren't familiar, I thought it was like a mixture of like Olivia Rodrigo and Chapel Rowan.
Yeah, that's a good way to say
it. But better produced than Olivia Rodrigo, but not as the lyrics weren't as meaningful as what I find Olivia Rodrigo's to be. Like the production on that was Willie Allen was really good. It was just the lyrics just kind of, and again, maybe if I listened more, I would get more out of them, but it just kind of vapid some of it. But sometimes I like that.
This next one didn't get good ratings, but Eminem's "Music to Be Murdered By," that was one of this was, I think, what year was this? I want to see. I don't even know. 2020. So 2020, and lyrical genius on this one. They had a song in here that Jeff, I think, was cracking up about a little bit. "You Gonna Learn," and this song is essentially about it's a gritty street sermon on survival, resilience, and breaking generational trauma, and essentially basically saying you're going to learn as naive people trying to get like wealth and fast lifestyles, but you're going to learn the hard way. And it was just, man, just the way he like went through the lyrics so quick and so fast, like just typical Eminem. I was like, damn, I'm like, this is good. Like, it gave me goosebumps. So it actually gave me goosebumps when I was listening to the song. Yeah, so that was like one of those there too. So.
Godzilla was like the big track, but
that was I mean, it was on but and then Olivia Rodrigo, which was surprisingly not my favorite this week, was "You Seem Pretty Sad for a Girl in Love," and this one has like "Drop Dead" on here, stupid song, a whole bunch of
I love that album.
This is such a great album. This is just I couldn't believe it. I was like, it just came out maybe like 4 months ago or so, I would say, maybe, and it was just such an amazing album. I've heard so many of the songs. And she had like a great performance on Saturday Night Live on some of her songs when she started revealing some of her songs on there, stuff like that. And it was just funny performances as well, because she dabbled into a little acting as well, and I just love that. But my favorite one, which is one I got today, and this is really gonna be so stupid here, but it's not stupid. It's just, the way they gave me this album. First of all, was like, what the hell did they do here? And there's no cover on here at all. Basically, they put it in plastic. It's Greta Van Fleet. The Battle at Garden's Gate came at 2021, and this was when. And if you guys know Greta Van Fleet, basically it's they were, Grateful Dead sound. I think that's what they're trying to say. And this is where they came back. Oh, sorry, Led Zeppelin, not Grateful Dead. This is where they came back and they said this is their like album where they broke away from sounding more like Led Zeppelin. It's like a Led Zeppelin Rush type of sound that you get out of there. I heard more Rush on this album than like Rush sound than Led Zeppelin. And I was like, but it's essentially two records. This is kind of like, I think this is like one of these. Well, first of all, it came ripped too. That was what I was really annoyed about. I was like, oh no, because I was like, great, but I love this. This was amazing. Like, there's like, I couldn't tell, like, I didn't get a chance to dig deep into this album as much as I wanted to today because like we are so constrained on time. But like as I was listening to it, I'm like, oh man, every song just hit for me, and I absolutely love the Greta Van Fleet album.
Which is this Battle at Garden Gate?
Yes, Battle at Garden Gate. Yep.
Yeah, they have a new one coming out like in a week or two.
Yep.
Palace for the People. And their first 3 albums were all like top 10 on Billboard. So I'd never heard of them. I'm just kind of looking this up now.
Yeah,
one of my buddies, I might give that one a listen.
One of my buddies turned me on to them probably about I want to say maybe 2018-ish or so, maybe around then. And I don't know, somewhere between 2018 and 2020. But he came back and said, check these guys out. And I think they were still kids. Like and he goes, check these kids out because they're really
they don't look old at
Yeah,
all. Like
they don't look old. Yeah, and he goes, they
at,
really sound like Led Zeppelin. I was like, all right, I'll check them out. That sounds cool. And I liked them at the time. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And they had like one big hit.
They're all three of the four look like they're brothers, I guess. Josh, Jake, and Sam Kiska.
Okay, yeah.
And then the drummer is Danny Wagner. So
yeah, but
interesting.
Great,
cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our new music, and yeah, like I said, it was like over half the show. God, we're like 2/3 of the way through. But that was good. I'm glad we did that. And Jeff mentioned something in when he was talking about the Sheepdogs that is gonna come up again in our homework for this week. So just a sneak peek because I'm gonna give the homework for this week.
You also gave us another thing to think about this week. I don't know if you remember this.
What was it?
Our best concert experience.
Yeah, that was what I was going to go to next. Yeah.
Okay.
So the best live concert we've been to, and a couple of like things have been mentioned for me. Anyways, I'll start. Whenever I'm asked this question, I always have like two answers, because one of them is like kind of best overall experience for me, but then I always go with best concert in a big setting, because like I think like it's almost like a cheat code when you see like your favorite band in an intimate setting. Like nothing beats that, you know. And for me, that was like Moxie Frubus. It's my favorite band ever, and I saw them at the West End Cultural Center, which is like just a very small venue. They do like pro wrestling there now, and it's like 400 seats, and it's almost like a movie theater. So your seats are like raised, and then the stage is below you. But they came out and they were playing into the crowd, and like every single person in that venue knew the lyrics to every single song that they did. So it was like a communal experience. And I just I was just blown away, and I can't remember what I paid, but whatever it was, I would have given them 10 times more. Like it was just like, I just loved it so much. But then in a big setting, my favorite one I ever saw, and I'm not sure of the year, it was before I got married, so it would have had to been like probably 89 or 90. I saw Guns N' Roses at the Winnipeg Arena, and this was the original lineup, and they played for like 2.5 hours or something. They were late, but we didn't get out of there till like 1:30 a.m. So it's like it's like Tony Khan and AEW. But
are we talking Lauryn Hill late or just kind of late?
At least an hour. Like an hour between, and this is like after the opener. So we're just sitting there, like waiting for these guys. But then they came out and they played unbelievably. Now, the one thing, I had great seats, so I could read the monitors, and I didn't realize that Axl needed the monitors to know the words to his own songs. Or, I don't know if he needed them, but he was definitely using them. But my favorite part of this, like, it was great. All the band, they were at their peak and everything. But they did a mini set in the middle of it where they brought out a couch onto the stage, and the guys just sat around and they were playing their instruments like acoustically, and they had topless women bring in pizza to the band while they were playing. Right. It was awesome, and it was like they're playing Patience, and then the girls brought in the pizza, and then they did Used to Love Her, and basically just did the whole album of GNR Lives, like on the thing, but acoustically, because they had like a lot of their songs, they did acoustic versions of them, and they were on bootleg tapes that were made like before they became famous, and then they kind of circulated after they became famous, and I purchased a bunch of these. So I'd heard these versions of these songs, and so those two concerts for me stick out way more than anything. Jeff, what do you got?
Mine's kind of cheating a bit, to be honest with you, because like I'm in Los Angeles, and back in the late 90s, I had access to anything that happened at the Universal Amphitheater because I was working on the lot. And so I went to the VH1 Honors for 1997, which was a fundraiser for instruments for kids in high schools and stuff like that. Oh, cool. And it was just amazing because to open, you had Steve Winwood and Stevie Wonder doing Higher Ground and Give Me Some Lovin'. You then go into Stevie Wonder and George Michael doing Livin' for the City, which is amazing. Prince shows up and does 3 songs. Celine Dion was there. James Taylor was there. Emmylou Harris was there. the Wallflowers, who had just gotten big, did one headline, and Sixth Avenue Heartache. It was something, man. It was like, it's like all these people in one place, and but like for full concert, I gotta go with 2004 or 2005. I'm in Norfolk for a wedding of a friend, and I just decided to go see the Black Crowes at the Norva offhand, and their drummer Steve Gorman had just rejoined the band, and they opened with a version of the band's "Don't Do It." That was the funkiest thing I think I've ever heard from a band cover type thing, and they just blew the roof off the dump. It was so fantastic, and they had one of those companies that instantly gave you a CD of the concert afterwards if you bought it right beforehand. It's still one of my favorite things to listen to. It's a 2 CD thing called Live at the Norva. I think you can find copies of it on the internet or whatnot, but it was just an amazing night, and then that made me very happy for the wedding, which I don't do well at weddings, but I got through it.
That John Mellencamp concert I talked about was not one of my favorites, but they gave an album to everybody that had bought the VIP package, like my wife and I got, and it was vinyl, and at the time I didn't have a record player, so I just put it on my shelf, and it was like, I'm not going to listen to John Mellencamp's new music. It's just like, I'm not going to listen. And then a few years ago, I got a record player, and I decided to listen to it, and I freaking loved it. And I looked it up, and it was actually voted one of the 10 best albums of the year in like 2010 by like Billboard or something. Like it was actually, wasn't commercially successful, but I guess people loved it. It was God, I can't remember the title. I
like John Cougar Mellencamp. I know.
Well, this was very different. This was like Dylan almost. Like it was very much like a Dylan album.
Well, I'll take his experimentation over. Like for me, it's one of those wars of who does Americana best, and there's way too many people that love to say that Bruce Springsteen's fake Americana is Americana.
I think that's like basically, and the funny thing with him is he's actually more popular in Canada than he was in America for whatever reason.
Mellencamp or
Springsteen?
Yeah,
no, Mellencamp.
Well, he used to do Farm Aid, which used to be big in Canada too, bigger than in the States.
That's true. The album's called No Better Than This, and it actually got to number 10 on Billboard, which surprised me. No hits on it or anything, but produced by T-Bone Burnett. But yeah, great. No Better Than This. I would strongly recommend that. And then Dan, what do you got?
So I mean, I guess the big one I'll say for last, but the smaller, I mean, maybe a smaller one's not even that you're kind of big too. I went to Metallica Orion Fest in 2013, and they had some good bands there. Dropkick Murphys. I discovered Go Go Bordello then. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Metallica. I love Red Hot Chili Peppers. They were amazing. They were the closing act on the night one of this 2-day festival, and that was just like everything was just amazing about that concert. Like I just felt like I felt like I was getting like a music high. Like if you ever feel like that, getting a music high. That. But my favorite one and the best one, 2015. Foo Fighters, and that was right after Dave Grohl broke his leg, and he's coming out on a guitar of like a throne of guitars, and I was blown away by that. First of all, secondly, he plays a 2.5, almost 3 hour set, the entire time, and he's jamming away. He barely took a break with a broken leg, mind you. This guy's barely taking a break. He's calling kids and other people up to go jam with him. I thought that was awesome. He plays Everlong, Monkey Wrench, Learn to Fly, The Pretender, Big Me, Walk. He played a Van Halen cover on the one, another one Bites the Dust, and Queen covers, School's Out. I'm just looking at the track list because I had to look it up again today. Alice Cooper, School's Out, Under Pressure for the Queen and David Bowie cover. Stay With Me by Faces, Let There Be Rock by AC/DC, Best of You, This Is a Call. I mean, he just all my life. He just kept going on and on and
this
on.
Was like a famous concert too, because of him coming back. I remember seeing footage of it.
It was in Camden. It was in Camden. This one was the one in Camden. It wasn't the one. It wasn't the one where they first like put him out there on the throne, because that became the one that like an iconic picture that came out there, and everyone made a big deal about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. But like it was just awesome. It was just like I loved. Like I couldn't believe he actually like went out there the way he did, and I was so happy that we got to see that, because that really is just history. as far as I'm concerned. Like
that's an act I want to see in concert, and you just can't get tickets when they're out here in LA. You just can't.
Crazy,
and that was 2015, so that was like
2015,
two years ago in Seb's mind. Okay, and Seb, I would venture to guess probably sees more live music than the rest of us put together, because you're always going to some show.
It's true. I actually was supposed to go to Foo Fighters this week, even, and then had to cancel last minute.
Heard about that, yeah.
But yeah, so I cheated as well, and I picked two: small show and a full size show. Okay. And the small show is going to see Sloan in Edmonton, which we talked about previously. But it was a tiny venue in a casino, and just absolutely everybody there knew all the words to the songs. And I went with Mona, who's still listening. Hi, Mona.
Yeah.
And we ended up meeting people. We were pressed against the stage in the front row. I spilled somebody's drink, so I ended up buying her another drink, and it was just a phenomenal show. But
you guys probably don't know Sloan, eh? Dan and
no, I've heard him on David's shows. David,
they're Money City Maniacs. Great song, and Good. I mean, it's like the Beatles. But
yeah, they actually called them the Canadian Beatles, or some sort of hype name back
slightly
in the day.
Less successful, but yeah.
Comparable. But the big show, I was actually going to do the Foo Fighters Dave of Thrones show as well, and I changed last minute, and I picked the 2008 Foo Fighters show in Toronto because it had the coolest thing that I've ever seen at a concert. Alex Lifeson and Geddy Lee of Rush came on stage, and they played with Taylor Hawkins, and they did YYZ live for everybody, and it was a surprise. They just happened to come out, and the entire time Dave Grohl was sitting on the stage looking just like a kid in a candy store. He just had his dream come true. He was just watching in awe because he's a huge Rush fan. And so just an absolutely phenomenal show. And so that was the best concert experience I had for a single band. Foo Fighters are, I think, 7 or 8 times I've seen them live now.
Wow.
So
that's 4 more times than I've seen them.
No, they're so good though.
Rush was close to my choice though, because that was my first concert.
I've never seen them.
Watching Neil Peart live was just good.
I don't even know what my first concert is. I used to work at the Winnipeg Arena selling concessions, so I got to see a lot of free concerts, and I'm not sure if I saw a concert before that. I'm like, I'm drawing a blank. If the Red River X, which you guys, I think you have a version in Toronto that's similar, Seb, like where it's like a yearly fair.
Yeah, we've got the CNE here. Canadian.
Yeah. So they would have free concerts, and I would, so I'm sure I saw bands there, and I was going to the Red River X from the time I was like 11. So it was probably something like that, but nothing that sticks out as memorable for my first. I saw. Go ahead.
I was going to say I saw the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live as my first concert, so I'd be too jealous. They took over the Sky Dome, and
awesome.
It was a little terrifying.
I don't count children's concerts. I don't. I mean, like my parents dragged me to theme parks to watch the Statler Brothers, but I'm not going to count that as my first concert.
I wish I could remember my first. Corey Hart and Tiffany, I know I saw them, and so that we're talking like 85.
Sounds amazing.
Not together. It was within like a month of each other though. The first one I think I remember paying for that I saw might have been AC/DC, Hell's Bells tour. That was that was when you would go out and your friends would wait in line overnight, so we'd get there at like
camping
10 o'clock.
out in front of the arena and just I'm like, I could never do that.
We did that.
They were still trying to do a tour AC/DC in 20. Yeah, they're playing in Vancouver, Detroit, Atlanta, Georgia.
That was a great concert.
Yeah, just kind of crazy.
Nazareth opened for them, which I love Nazareth, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to go, was because I love Nazareth. So I got to see both those bands. It's always great when you could see an opener that you really like. We talked about openers last week, but. Okay, so we got just over 5 minutes left, and I wanted to for our homework this week. and this could be boring, so we may have to come up with another topic. Well, I'm not gonna say boring, but we might have to come up with another topic for next week too, because it may not take as much time, because I want us all to listen to the same stuff. Now, maybe we might come up with some other things that we decide to listen to based on what we listen to here. When I just realized I didn't get into my 1975 album, so I'll just run them down quickly before we end. But I've been reading this book by a local author named John Enerson, who is like a music historian. And I know Seb and Dan are in his group, although I don't know if you frequent it very much. And Jeff, I should probably send you an invite. He posts these like stories about rock every single day. And he has written a lot of books. They're very in depth, and he interviews the artists and everything, and they're basically biographies of all these different bands. But this book I'm reading right now is about the year 1968 and how it revolutionized rock music. And he kind of goes into like the lead up to 1968. So he talks about 66, 67, and then really digs into 1968. And I'm about halfway through the book, and I'm just loving it. And there's two albums that he talks about a lot that were very, very influential. And one of them I've never listened to, and the other one I own and I listen to all the time. So I thought we could all listen to these two albums and give our thoughts. So very much the exact opposite of this past week. So the albums are. So do you guys know the band Love?
Love. Why does that sound so familiar to me?
So no. It's so they are one of the very first biracial rock bands, and they were Arthur Lee was the lead singer of the band, and he is one of the most underrated people in the history. He was Prince before he was Prince, but he was never nearly as successful. But the album is called Forever Changes. And it's an album that has been lauded as one of the greatest albums of all time, and almost nobody's ever heard it. It wasn't a hit.
What year was that released?
1967.
So I have a record. I'm wondering if I have a record somewhere.
Yeah. So if we can listen to it, like it's available, you can get it on YouTube or Apple Music or whatever you listen to. But Forever Changes, that's the one. And then the other one is Songs. I got to make sure I get the title right. Songs from the Big Pink. Songs from the Big Chair. No, Music from Big Pink. By the band. Now, this was from 1968.
Okay.
And it is a great album. It's got The Weight and I Shall Be Released on it. But like the whole album is awesome. And both albums are about 45 minutes long. So, your homework will take about an hour and a half. Hopefully all of us will get a chance to listen to them. So Forever Changes by Love and Music from Big Pink by the band. I want us all to listen to those and things. So is that something you guys can do? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually listened to Music from Big Pink before. So yeah.
Okay. And I'm looking forward to Forever Changes because I've never heard it, and I'm prepared to be blown away. And I'll just quickly run down the albums that I listened to this week just to be a completionist. I think the first one was Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy by Elton John, which reminds me of the title of Hot Dog, Chocolate Starfish and a hot dog flavored water. Yeah. Venus and Mars by Wings, which the title track is awesome and the rest of the album is fine. One of These Nights by the Eagles. I'm not a big Eagles fan, but there's like 3 awesome tracks on this album. Red Octopus by Jefferson Starship. I know, Dan, you said you love that album. It was good. I was pleasantly surprised by how good it was. The Heat Is On by the Isley Brothers. That was awesome. I just sunk myself into that. I only knew the first song, but it was all great. Between the Lines by Janice Ian, which I said in our chat, it's like if Carole King and Joni Mitchell had a baby, that you get Janice Ian, and it was basically listening to an album that those two produced and told someone else to sing the songs. And then today's was Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, which I like this one better than Dark Side of the Moon, honestly. Like, even though they're both classics, and Dark Side of the Moon is like the big classic that everyone always thinks of, but I thought this was a great album. Wish You Were Here. And yeah,
I think it's better than Dark Side as well.
Okay. Yeah, that it's got where's the track listing here? Welcome to the Machine, Have a Cigar, Wish You Were Here. Only 5 songs on the whole album, but Pink Floyd makes the most of their minutes, so 5 songs, 44 minutes. A few of them maybe overstayed their welcome a bit, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the album, and it autoplayed Dust in the Wind right after it, so that was a nice little bonus at the end. So yeah, that was my 1975 album. So I haven't looked at next week, but I should be getting into 1976 soon. So yeah, I think that is it. And if we come up with any other, I should also mention we're going to be a day late next week because I have family commitments. So we're going to be doing Monday. We haven't nailed down a time yet. We're tentatively scheduled for the same time as we normally go on Monday, but instead of Sunday, we'll be doing Monday, but we may change that. So I'll update everyone on Twitter. And of course, if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, you get a notification. So for Jeff, for Dirty Dan, for Seb, I have been Paul Fontaine, and this has been the Music Nerds Podcast.